So what is going on, guys? I am BlackOpsAmazing. Welcome back to another video where today I'm going to explain, since I've seen a ton of people ask for this video, exactly the meaning of the ancient evil ending. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Drop a like rating if you want to. If not, it's totally fine. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest zombies videos on the channel. But without further ado, let's get into it. Here we go. So I'm going to show you the cutscene first with the audio, and then I'll come back and explain it after. If you have already seen it and just want to get into the breakdown, skip to around 4 minutes 10 seconds.
Thank you. But I fear it may be too late. If I die, they will return. But your father, he is released.
No. Stay with me. She's dying. Go, get my father!
Alistair!
Even though you do not yet know what you are, Scarlett.
No, it can't be.
There is still so much that you can teach me.
No!
I will open the library. The world will be mine.
So the ancient evil ending is by far the best one we've seen so far for the Chaos story. It is interesting, it has a ton of cliffhangers, it isn't a straightforward cutscene, so it leaves a little bit of interpretation. I don't think anyone is 100% certain what it means, but I'm going to break down my interpretation of it. So we know that our characters Scarlett, Diego, Bruno and Shaw have travelled to the city of Delphi to rescue Scarlett's father, Alistair. As we saw in the map, Dead of the Night, he was kidnapped by the cult and taken here. Scarlett and the crew manage to track him down, they explore the city, in which they eventually arrive at a temple in the middle, and they find, chained to a chair, is this woman. And as she tells us, she is the Oracle who's been trapped here by an evil version of Perseus. And not only has she been trapped here, but Scarlett's father, Alistair, has as well. And in order to free him, the crew must first help and free the Oracle. And so that's exactly what they do. They go around the map completing the Zeus trial, doing quests and objectives. Partway through doing the Easter egg, the cult overtake Bruno. They begin to use their mind control on him, because as we know, as we saw in the Voyage of Despair ending, he has the glowing cultist symbol on his head. And so they overtake Bruno, where he stabs and kills Shaw, and then when he's dead, Bruno uses the Scepter of Ra to resurrect him. And once Shaw is resurrected, he now also has the glowing symbol on his head. So both Bruno and Shaw are now members of the cult. They are both able to be taken over. They hear dark voices in their heads. But the other two characters, Scarlett and Diego, know nothing about it. They didn't see this happen. But the characters continue to go through the Easter egg, where eventually they get to the final boss, in which they fight the corrupted version of Perseus, who, by the way, if you didn't know, is the son of Zeus. But they defeat him, they get the key from him to free the Oracle, and that is when this ending outro kicks in. So we see the characters walk into the temple with the Oracle key, they show it to her, and then she says, "Thank you, but I fear it may be too late. If I die, they will return." Scarlett then uses the key to free her. The Oracle then opens up a secret chamber in which she says, "But your father, he is released." And then the Oracle pretends that she's dying. We know that she's not actually. She's just doing this to trick the characters. She wants to separate them so that she can get Scarlett on her own. And it works. Scarlett falls for it. She tells Diego, Bruno and Shaw to go into the chamber to find her father, while Scarlett helps the Oracle. She unlocks all of her shackles that Perseus put her in and helps her down from the chair. In the meantime, we see Bruno, Diego and Shaw going down beneath the temple into these caves, where they do find Alistair, but he's not in the state that they expected. He's actually turned into stone. Meanwhile, back upstairs, the Oracle says to Scarlett, "Even though you do not know yet what you are, there is still so much that you can teach me." This is when Diego realizes that actually the Oracle might be Medusa, so he runs upstairs to try and warn Scarlett, but when he gets there, it's too late. The Oracle, who we now know is actually Medusa, uses her powers on Scarlett. She looks into her eyes, and then Scarlett seems to become, I don't really know how you would describe it, hazed maybe, unconscious, maybe she even dies, we can't really tell. But it is quite unusual because usually if you stare into Medusa's eyes for even a second, you turn into stone, which is what we see happen to Alistair down in the caves. But Scarlett doesn't. It seems like she goes into this unconscious state, or possibly she died, I'm not really too sure. But Medusa looks at her, she goes in to kiss Scarlett, and then we see loads of different pictures of different parts of history, ancient Egypt, different devices, declarations, flying machines, battles. We just see loads of different images going back through time, in which the camera then cuts back to in the caves, where we see Alistair has in fact been turned into stone by Medusa, but alongside him are the members of the Order, the cultists. All of them have been turned to stone by Medusa. And then we just see standing in front of these statues, looking at them aimlessly, are Bruno and Shaw, who both have the cultist symbols on their heads. And then just as Diego arrives back to the top of the temple to warn Scarlett, we see that it's too late. Scarlett is already, like I said, either in an unconscious state or dead. She drops to the floor. Medusa reveals her true self. Diego, of course, hides because if he looks at her, he's going to turn into stone. And then Medusa picks up a cultist mask. Where exactly she got that from, I don't know. She puts it on, which would suggest that she is a member of the cult possibly. Maybe the leader, or maybe she's not. And then she says, "I will open the library. The world will be mine." The statues of Alistair and the cultist members fade away, they turn into dust, and it seems like they travel up to the top to Medusa, where she puts them into this big fire pit. She does something, again it's really hard to tell, this trailer's not too specific and straightforward. She then walks away as we see Diego holding Scarlett, hiding from Medusa, and that is where this ending finishes. So it's extremely interesting, but like I said, there are a ton of different ways you can interpret this, and it really leaves us on a massive cliffhanger. What's gonna happen next? Is Scarlett dead? Has her father Alistair truly gone? What library is Medusa talking about? What is gonna happen to Shaw and Bruno now? It's all very interesting. I do want to explain a few things in more detail though. If we just go back to near the beginning, where Medusa had Scarlett on her own and she was talking to her, Medusa said to Scarlett, even though you do not know what you are yet, there is still so much that you can teach me. What exactly does Medusa mean when she says this to Scarlett? Because she then goes in to kiss her, but she doesn't kill her. Like I said, this is strange because usually Medusa's victims would turn into stone as soon as they look at her, but Scarlett doesn't. She just collapses. Clearly there's something different about Scarlett, and that's also confirmed when Medusa says that Scarlett can teach her things. As far as we know, Scarlett is a normal girl. Medusa is a Gorgon. She's a monster. She's got venomous snakes for hair. She has magical abilities. Clearly she's very powerful. What exactly could she teach Medusa? Clearly there's a lot more to Scarlett than we know. When Medusa kisses her, we see all of history back through time, from the ancient times up until like the 1800s. Clearly Medusa took something from Scarlett, took some knowledge from her. Some people have suggested that Medusa sucked out Scarlett's soul, which is why she collapsed on the floor, and other people have suggested that possibly Scarlett is a demigod, because we know nothing about Scarlett's mother. We've heard about her, but we don't know anything about her. We've never seen her. Clearly Scarlett's father, Alistair, seems to be a normal person, but we know nothing about her mother. Possibly, it sounds far-fetched, but with all of this Greek myth now added into the story, it really isn't. What if Scarlett's mother was a god, if she came down to Earth? Alistair gave her a good banging and created Scarlett. That would mean that Scarlett is a demigod. That's another theory that's out there. As of right now, we're not 100% sure what Medusa meant by this. I guess we'll find out in the future when the Chaos story continues. Another strange thing is, well, we see Alistair down beneath the temple, turned into stone, but he is alongside other members of the cult who have been turned to stone as well. We know that these cultist members kidnapped Alistair, but we don't yet know why. We see him down beneath the temple with a book. Is it possible that he was working with the cult? Maybe they kidnapped him, but then the cult members told him what was going to happen if he didn't help. Maybe Medusa was going to do something bad, destroy the world. I really don't know. But is it possible Alistair was actually working along with the cult to try and uncover something beneath the temple? But as we see, Medusa stopped them. Or maybe the cult just threatened Alistair to do things that only he knows how, but Medusa caught them and killed all of these people, including the members. Again, we don't know for certain. That's also odd because if Medusa killed the cultist members, we then see at the end she puts a cultist mask on. Either she is a member of the cult, I would guess a higher ranking one, maybe the leader, so she killed her own, or possibly she just puts it on for fun. And then also right at the end, Medusa says, I will open the library. The world will be mine. What library is she on about, you may ask? Well, I think she's on about the Library of Alexandria. This was one of the largest and most significant libraries of the ancient world, and we do see, when Medusa kisses Scarlett, pictures of ancient Egypt. This library holds a lot of secrets, so it seems like she may be going there next to, as she says, make the world hers. One of our next Chaos maps could be in ancient Egypt. But there we go. This is by far the best Chaos map yet, and ending cutscene. I think all of the ones we've had so far, specifically Voyage of Despair and Dead of the Night, were very lame. Yes, in Voyage we found out Bruno was evil, but you could have easily done that in 10 seconds of gameplay or something, or you could have added a lot more onto that. And then Dead of the Night really was a bit random. All it truly showed us was Alistair getting kidnapped. Again, I don't think that was necessary. You could have just said it in gameplay dialogue or something. But this really is amazing, and it leaves us on a massive cliffhanger now, since DLC 3 and 4 are going to be ether maps. We're not going to get another Chaos map for, I would guess, maybe 6-7 months. So there we go. And also, just before I quickly forget, one last thing I wanted to say is, at the beginning, Medusa says, if I die, they will return. Who exactly is they? I'm thinking that maybe she's on about the people that she's turned to stone, the cultist members and Alistair. So Alistair may not be truly gone. If she's on about them, the people she's turned into stone, then if we do end up killing Medusa later on down the line, Alistair could return. Maybe. Again, it's just one of the many things that are left for interpretation. So there we go. Let me know your thoughts down below. I really enjoyed the story in this map. Make sure you drop a like rated if you have enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching, and until then, goodbye.